one of the things that a lot of kids just have to really figure out on their own and for themselves.
Because of post-COVID, and they lost, I would say, a good 2 years of education.
Oh, yeah. I wonder how they did that during kindergarten and stuff, or if they even had kindergarten through Zoom and kindergarten, transitional kindergarten, preschool.
You had to be together, right?
Yeah.
Like that was part of like building your skill.
Right. And their ability to be social and be with kids. And
if you've noticed, a lot of kids are not comfortable being in a social setting.
Right.
Welcome back to We Time Convo. We're so excited to kick off season 3.
This season, we'll keep bringing you real conversations and practical insights for families and the community. But first, let's dive into pre-K versus TK,
which is a subject that was provided to us by one of our listeners, along with a couple of other topics that will turn into a series. Going back to what we originally started, which was looking at babies, topics, parenting stuff, and all that great sort.
Did Vanessa do any schooling before kindergarten?
Yes, she did. So what ended up happening is both of us worked. So we weren't really comfortable with her going to daycare at such a young age. We were lucky enough that my aunt was available to watch her while we were at work. So at a very young age, Vanessa grew up with her. I think we actually realized that when she was about 4 years old, like a year before she needed to go to school. Actually, was it 4? Yeah, she was probably 4 or 5 years old. We realized that she was going to kindergarten, and we decided to have her go to, I guess you would call it preschool or TK. And it was kind of like daycare TK type. And so we had her go there so she can start like just jumping in and socializing and being in a more structured environment. Although she knew a lot because my aunt was a teacher back in the Philippines.
Oh, nice.
So Vanessa knew quite a bit. Like she knew her ABCs and she knew how to write her name and she knew 1, 2, 3. So going to that transition was more of building a structure for her to be around other kids and to be around like teachers. And so she just dove right in. We didn't have a problem with her. She was really excited about going to school. That's kind of how we introduced her into the kind of like the educational system.
Schooling.
We did that. It was just kind of our comfort level of that was the route that we put her. How about you?
So Haley, I'm trying to remember if they had TK back then, 25 years ago or 20 something years ago. But because I was a single mom, thank goodness I was able to qualify for like a subsidized daycare, which was a daycare / preschool. So Haley did go to preschool, and she went to preschool for a couple of years because she started going like at 3.
Okay.
So like 3 and 4. And then after that, she jumped right into just regular kindergarten and, the following grades after that.
How about Ava?
So Ava, we had to put her in daycare. So she learned a lot in daycare. She was in daycare, I want to say at 2 years old. Okay. For a year. So she did get some learning there. And again, we qualified for subsidized daycare. So she started going to preschool at 3. And then she transitioned to regular preschool in the same school at 4. And then she went to transitional kindergarten at 5. Okay. And then, I was telling you, by the time she actually reached traditional like kindergarten, she was bored because she
already knew it
had already advanced. So for those who don't know exactly what TK is, I had to look it up. So TK is short for transitional kindergarten. So who it's for children who just missed the age cutoff for traditional kindergarten, who are often kids who turn 5 between September and December, but dates may vary by state. So the purpose of transitional kindergarten acts as a bridge year between preschool and kindergarten. It gives younger 5-year-olds or older 4-year-olds extra time to develop socially, emotionally, and academically. So, Ava did all that schooling. So by the time she reached like traditional kindergarten, she knew everything. She probably, I would say, had the knowledge of somebody that was like in 1st or 2nd grade. She had already learned how to read and do all that. So in kindergarten, it was pretty much just playtime for her that whole time.
Yep.
Violet did, my mom, she stayed home with my mom until she was the age of 5, and then had to go to transitional kindergarten. Okay. And then kindergarten.
Got it. And do you see a difference in regards to kind of like how they learn between her and Ava?
Yeah, absolutely. Ava definitely was more advanced academically by the time she reached kindergarten because of the preschool. Violet, Violet is different. She actually is picked up on a lot of things and is really, really smart. I don't know. You could just tell that she picked up a lot of this stuff on her own. Like she already knew how to read and all that stuff. So same thing, by the time she got to regular kindergarten, she was just like, why the fuck am I here? Got it, like it's red. You guys don't know that? She was just like she thought that everybody knew what she knew.
Yes. Because how do you not know this color?
Because everybody is academic, on a different level academically. Because some of these kids didn't go to TK, right? They went straight from
but TK, is that again subsidized, or is that, do you have to pay for that?
It's part of regular schooling.
Okay. You could actually do TK if you're not paying for that.
But not all schools in the district offer it. So at some time, Ava had to go to a different school that was in our district, but not in our boundary. So a little bit farther because they offered transitional kindergarten.
So do you think that it's worth it?
I mean, I do, only because it got her, because she was staying with my mom. So she got to socialize with other kids. And what I really liked about the TK that she went to was it was like a dual enrichment TK. So they spoke English and Spanish. So she did learn
a little bit,
a language, which I loved. And not all schools do it, but I loved that they had that aspect of it.
Got it.
But for me, it was more of just getting her out of the house and socializing, and she don't want to hang out with my 70-year-old mom, every day. And basically just, it gets them ready to be in a group setting.
Yep. And that was the primary reason for Vanessa as well, is that we just realized that it would help her once she goes into kinder to be able to have that structure. Yeah. To be around, like I said, teachers and other kids. And one of the things that I knew she enjoyed was her, there was nap time. I don't think
they don't have that anymore. Time, right? I remember having nap time in when I went to kindergarten.
Yeah, and they don't have that in kindergarten, right? Don't.
I think they do it in preschool.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yeah. So that was, I think, an adjustment for her, because I think she actually did enjoy nap time.
Yeah. Who doesn't enjoy nap time?
I know. I wish we had nap time
at work, right?
But well, you know what? You and I were just talking about this, is that, obviously prior to kinder, because everybody has to go to kinder, right? But prior to that, it's really kind of up to the parent to determine whether or not they need to have any of the prep before going to kinder. And in some cases, they don't need, they don't have the ability to give their kids the prep.
Yeah. Because you have to pay for preschool.
Yes. Yeah. So, one of the things we talked about, because you mentioned Ava was kind of bored by the time she got there. The challenge, I guess, is once everybody's in kindergarten, then they assess okay, where is everybody? And based on that, to me, what I've noticed is the focus tends to be on the kids that haven't, they're going to be in different spectrums of learning, right? And so to your point, as Violet, you said hey, don't you know what that's red? Some kids don't know, right? And so I would imagine the focus tends to be kind of with the kids that haven't learned,
that have more of a need,
that haven't learned. So bringing them up to speed. But I find that to be really challenging, because let's say for people the kids that are already there, the pace of learning tends to diminish. Yeah. Because these kids are catching up. Yeah. And so by the time that they are graduating from kinder, the hope is everybody's kind of at the
same level to go into first grade.
Yeah. So that to me is just sounds it's kind of a little disservice.
Yeah. What I do notice that they have now is in kindergarten and transitional kindergarten is that there's always an extra teacher
that they can help.
Yeah. So I think that they kind of split up now. The kids okay, this group of kids go with Mr. blah, blah, blah. And then this set of kids go with Mrs. blah, blah, blah. And then they kind of separate
within the class.
Yeah. Within the class.
Yeah. But still, right? I mean, it's just, unfortunate, I think, because I even noticed it when Vanessa's, as she was growing, you could tell that there was a lot more focus on the people who needed the kids.
The most, yeah. And she just kind of like, okay, I already know this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one of the things obviously is to also try to subsidize that with her at home. But I know some parents don't have that ability.
Yeah.
Like what I found about Vanessa is that she really was able to acclimate to her environment.
Yeah.
Like she was not one of those kids where when we left her, she would cry. Like she would be like, okay, I know you're coming back. And like, so she was very well adjusted.
Yeah. And I think that's very important.
Yes. Because I had seen some kids who just had a really
separation
hard time.
anxiety.
Yes. Who had a really hard time with that. But I'm glad to say Vanessa somehow learned that she wasn't in that bucket. And I think for me, that's probably the biggest advantage that she had, was that she could, like, she's okay with being by herself. Like I've noticed that. Like she doesn't obviously she likes to have her social circle, but if she's in a situation where it's just her, she can figure it out.
Yeah.
I think that's so important.
Yeah. That's, I think, just one of the things that a lot of kids just have to really figure out on their own and for themselves. Yeah.
But now, because of post-COVID, and they lost, I would say, a good 2 years of education.
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel like...
I wonder how they did that during kindergarten and stuff, or if they even had kindergarten through Zoom. And because it really, I think kindergarten, transitional kindergarten, preschool,
you had to be together, right?
Yeah.
Like that was part of like building your skill.
Right. And their ability to be social and be with kids. And
I think that has, if you've noticed, a lot of kids are not comfortable being in a social setting.
Right.
And I think a lot of that attributes to that. Like they don't know how to be around other kids.
Yes. Yeah. Which is sad. It's very unfortunate.
Yeah, but hopefully it'll course correct itself.
Yeah. I hope so. I think that's just such an important part of
but I think as parents, you have to be aware of that, right? Vanessa, in all aspects, was an only child growing up. And so we had to make a point to just make sure that she had the social environment. So we always put her in some kind of activity, and it was more of a team activity, that so she can get accustomed to knowing how to be around other kids
and different personalities. And
so we just had to make her aware. That's another thing too, as parents, because like being aware of like, hey, this was the environment that your child is in, and how do you help support them as they grow, it shouldn't be lost to parents.
Yeah.
Because 2 years of not learning
just through a screen and just trying to learn.
Do you even remember that with the kids?
Well, Violet was a COVID baby, right? So luckily she didn't start school at that time. But I remember, I definitely remember with Ava rolling out of bed, or doing school in bed. Yes. And then, I worked at a school, so it was just very, very challenging. And
so were you in school while she was at home?
Yeah.
Wow.
School/work. Yeah.
So you were actually not at work, like you weren't at home.
I know. I always went to work, even though there weren't kids there.
Wow.
Because we were considered, what is that called?
Essential?
Essential workers.
Yeah. So you had to go in.
Yeah.
So you never really experienced the whole working from home then?
I did, maybe for like a week. And 2 weeks, and then they recalled us. They're like, you're essential workers. You have to go back. Yeah. But we did things like we passed out food to the community. Okay. So like we did things like that.
Yeah.
Just kind of helped the principal. And we had to, since, we couldn't have so many people in the office at once, we had to rotate like
shifts and stuff. Yeah. Got it. So when Ava was learning at home, you just kind of had to let her be.
Yeah. She was really good about logging in herself and stuff, but you can tell like depression was starting to hit, and she's wanted to see her friends, and she was sick of us. Right. But, when everyone came back to school after COVID, the need for therapists and counselors went way up.
Got it. And you saw it from your perspective of being in the school.
Yeah. And there were a ton of kids that didn't want to come back. Like they, were perfectly fine with
being at home.
They had social anxiety, being at home. And for them to have to do that where they're comfortable and then go back to school where they're uncomfortable was a big shift as well.
Yeah. Because I think I remember Vanessa... How long did COVID last?
I think it was 2 years.
No. But like it started in 2020.
Yeah.
Right. And so when did they allow us to get kind of like start going back to school? Was it a year later or it was that same year?
I think it was a year later.
So it was a whole year that we never went to school?
Yeah. It was a whole year.
Oh, wow. So she went. So if I remember correctly, then to her 7th grade, she finished at home. And then 8th grade, she did the majority on video. And then her graduation was at school. Because by that time, everybody came back. Yeah. Got it. Okay. Yeah. No. And then, that's a tough one, right?
Yeah.
Because then she jumped right into freshman year going to school, which she never experienced because she only had maybe half a year in 7th grade. And then everything else was online.
That's crazy. I can't even fathom being a student, right?
Yeah.
During COVID. But yeah.
So going back to if you have a young child, I don't know. I to me, I think you have to be really in tune to what does your child need? Yeah. We knew that she needed more framework of being around other kids. And so and thankfully my aunt, like I said, taught her the basics. And so she was comfortable with that, but it was really kind of getting that social setting for her to be able to be around other kids.
Yeah. I had Violet, my youngest, she's 6 now, at a later age. And I knew she had to have some type of pre-schooling, pre-kindergarten schooling because I was so tired and I did not want to teach her anything. To be honest, I was like, I have no energy. I have no patience. I'm like a freaking 40 years old. Let the school handle it.
Got it.
And you know what? Knock on wood, luckily she became really intelligent. She learned a lot of the things, and there's going to be a lot of controversy around this, but she learned a lot of things by watching TV.
But I think a lot of kids do.
Really? I don't know.
I do, because
there are some parents though that are absolutely no electronics. And in that case, you are responsible for their knowledge, what they, absorb, right?
Sure. But then you can go the other route and you can say those kids are a little weird.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they stick out.
Yeah.
They really do stick out. Some kids may not even know how to utilize a phone or social media they kind of stick out and you're like, oh. But I do understand because you don't want them to be overly exposed.
Yeah.
So, I remember when Vanessa wanted her social media and she was at a young age and I had a hard time. I was like, no. And then eventually we just gave up because it takes a lot of effort to get them off social media.
Yeah.
And then when you realize that, with AI is such a big thing. A lot of people are against AI because then you're not learning. But then there's that group of kids that are utilizing AI. And so it's this battle between, do you not expose them to AI and then maybe they're behind, or you expose them to AI and they're losing that creativity.
Right. Yeah.
It can't be one or the other. You got to expose them to a certain point, but you also have to be able to not overexpose them.
Yeah. Well, I met a family. They had what they called their house a dumb house. They had nothing electronic in the house. They had 2 young kids. I think one of them was Violet's age, 7 and 6. Mm-hmm. Never watched TV in their life. And I didn't know that. I was like, oh, do you watch Bluey? Do you watch this? And they're like, what is that?
They have no clue.
And I'm like, wow, I had a lot of respect for them as parents to have that kind of, it's their house. And
the discipline. It's the discipline
that's
to have that.
That's how they want to raise their children. But I'm like, if they ever met Violet and Violet would, because she's watches TV and she tried to have a conversation with them. Do you watch this or reference this? They wouldn't know. They wouldn't have anything really in common or anything to talk about.
Yeah. So they kind of
they're losing the social. I think that is what for me, it was like, oh, like if they talk to other kids
Yeah.
that are, and they're homeschooled too. So they only really know each other. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's, I mean, it's, there's no right or wrong, but like you have to be aware that they might just stick out.
Yeah.
I remember Vanessa, we got her an iPad, and I don't know if there was a lot of, you know, we were very much monitoring. Her dad would monitor her, but he would give her like these educational games. So like one was like, it's called Blocks, I think, where she would have to put a block towards this gate, and there was other blocks. So she'd have to move the blocks around in order for her to create that space for that block to actually go through. So it was really just her using her mind, trying to like, it's like Tetris.
Yeah.
Right. Or similar to Tetris. And so I don't know, for me, there's certain things about like technology that can really help. So this whole mindset of no technology, I'm not really on that boat.
But and also like a lot of applications for jobs are all online. Like, what do you do? You just handwrite an application and then mail it? Like, right? There's some people that like probably do that, or like everything is online now. If you do decide to go to a school, like all of a sudden, like, okay, well, I actually want to go to college now.
Well, so
submitting a quit, like you wouldn't know what to do with a computer.
Yeah. So
right?
it's so funny because I was talking to Vanessa about her going to SF State and how she needs to get there. And so she needed to go on maps and she needed to do this. And so I said, okay, so you need to go onto BART and then you got to go to Muni. And then from there you got to walk. And then like, I must have like told her like 3 or 4 times. She goes, Mom, I got it.
Right.
And I'm like, she's like, why are you keep telling me this? She goes, I got it. And I'm like, because Vanessa, because I'm referencing me, right? Because it's all like challenging for me. So like, I only know to take BART. I only know to take this one Muni, and like everything else is like,
yeah.
And she's just like, Mom, I'll figure it out. And I'm like, I have to remind myself she's in a different space,
right? Yeah.
Than I am. And so the stuff that I find super challenging, I assume that it's going to be super challenging for her, but she's at a different level than me.
Yeah, it's like when we went to Europe and me and Ava went to Disney Paris. I was like struck with so much anxiety on how to get there. And Ava was just like pulling on her. She's like, okay, you take this bus, and you take this train and you do this and that. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yes.
Like, and I'm over here like, oh my God, we're going to get lost. And and on the other hand, my mom, she doesn't believe in, she technology scares her.
Yes.
She does not know she refuses to use Google Maps. So she'll only go to places that she remembers to go.
In her head. Yeah.
Like she refuses to.
Yes.
Yeah. Like if Ava were to be like, Mama, can you drop me off here? She's like, where is that? And Ava goes, oh, it's just right here. She's like, nope, I'm not taking you.
I'll take you here. Yeah. And then you can figure out your way to get there.
I don't know where that is. I was like, Mom. I even showed her like, Mom, oh my God, Google Maps is so amazing.
Easy. Yeah. My mom refuses to look at it.
She's like, I don't trust it. I was like, she thinks she's still going to get lost, you know?
Yeah. So I have to remind myself, like, it was so funny. She's like, Mom, I got it.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, okay. And she's like, do you think I'm just dumb? Like,
exactly.
The way I talk to her is like, she's dumb.
But it's scary. You know?
It is. Because to me, it was scary.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But yeah, I'm in that bucket where I think they need to get exposed.
Yeah.
To a certain level, but we need to not overexpose our kids.
Right.
Because that,
like, where's that balance?
Yeah. And honestly, as a parent, I know everything is like, you're so busy, you're so tired, but you have to do it. Because if you don't, somebody's going to make that decision for you.
Yeah.
And hopefully you can cross your fingers and hope that that's right. But what if it isn't?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Now that she's 18, I have to my mom keeps telling me like, oh, Debbie, you need to tell her this, or you need to tell. I go, Mom, she knows all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, like at this point, it's all up to her. And then my mom goes, yeah, you're right. It's all up to her.
Yeah. They can figure it out.
Yeah.
We just had to do it the hard way. We didn't have the internet or Google Maps.
Yeah. So, but my mom is super worried about her this week.
Oh yeah, she probably can't sleep. My mom would.
I don't think she'll.
Yeah.
I actually don't think that she'll be good for tomorrow because Vanessa will be gone all day, and she knows that she's going to be in the city by herself
on public transportation. Yeah.
And I think my mom's gonna. It's going to be so unsettling for her.
Yeah. Well, does your mom follow her location or no?
No. But Peter and I have her location, so
you can kind of see where she's
and
at.
then I tell her text me throughout the way and pay attention. So that was the other thing. So we were talking about there's people that are crazy. So there's simple stuff like, so for example, on Bart, I always make sure to not be right where the train where Bart is. So you really taking a step back, and hopefully nobody's in back of you. So standing behind a wall. And then just kind of it's hard because you're always looking on your phone, but just being mindful, hey, I need to also look up a couple of times, look who's around me. So my mom was telling me, she's like, can you please just have that conversation with her? Because, she's a kid. Maybe she does or doesn't know, but you need to remind her that because if she's close, even though she's not there, somebody can just accidentally bump into her, push her or whatever.
And then she could just follow her.
So she needs to pay attention to that. And then also she's on her phone. So you got to make sure that she's aware that she's looking around. So for me, when I have my AirPods on, I only put one. I don't put both AirPods because I want to make sure that I'm also aware of listening.
That's what I do when I run too.
You don't put both.
Yeah. Because I need to be able to hear a car coming or if someone's following me.
Yeah. So I don't know necessarily if she knows all of this stuff, but even if she does, I need to remind her, is my mom's point. So I put it on my list today that I have to and I know it's going to annoy her.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. I have to just say it.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. It's just, you can't get away from, you got to let them go, but you also have to expose them to stuff.
Yeah. And sadly, a lot of it, they have to just experience for themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Is Miss Violet a Miss Know-It-All?
Oh yeah, for sure.
She knows, and she's pretty good.
Violet is a whole new, she's on some other level. I don't know.
She's Violet's, 6.
No, she is I look at her sometimes and the things that she says, I'm like, where do you get this from? She's just such on a different level than my other 2 girls.
Do you worry about her more or less?
I worry about her more because she has no filter. So she has no filter. She went to go see her eye doctor. And when you go see the eye doctor, they're pretty much in your face.
Yes.
And she's just the lady was talking to her and she's like, your breath smells.
Oh my God.
Yes. And I was like, and I have to tell, yes. And the lady was laughing. She's like, ha ha ha. She's like, she played it off well. She's like, oh, I had too much coffee. And then Violet was just kind of backing up. And I had to have that conversation. It's another social thing. We have our inside voice and we have things that we want to say, but sometimes we got to keep it inside.
She's like, but why?
She's like, but it smells. Yeah. She's like, I had to tell her something. So
that's too close to me, Mom.
So that's what I'm scared of. I'm like, girl.
I don't know. I honestly, I don't even know if I would be mad at that. I don't even know if I would hinder that.
Yeah.
Because it's not like she said something bad. She just said your voice, your
she's just very
yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I would hinder that.
Really? I don't know. I think I don't know. For me, I'm there's just some things that you just gotta keep to yourself.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say it after. You could tell me that her breath stank. Right?
But you know what? She can get away with it because she's 6.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. I think it would be so different if it was you telling your eye person that.
The thing is, I see it that she's 6. It will just get worse and worse. She'll get smarter and smarter.
Yeah.
Right?
But then she'll learn her filter.
Yeah. But yeah, I think exposing, like starting school early, but and even like exposing them to different cultures, right? Like, okay, you're at home with grandma, right? You're obviously like the same culture, but exposing them to different cultures, different personalities. So I think even though, Ava and Violet were bored by the time they were in regular kindergarten, I think it was worth it.
No.
Yeah, for sure. You develop friendships and you develop so many more other things than just developing your brain, right?
Yes, the social aspect, I definitely agree with you.
Yeah.
Now, a quick question.
Yeah.
So both Ava and, all your kids are mixed. When somebody asks, what are you? How do they respond? Do they realize that they're mixed, or they just realize they're Filipino, or do they realize both, or like, how do they acknowledge that?
It's so Haley was obviously white. Like you could just look at her and you could just be like, okay,
she's white.
Yeah. And she'll tell you, she's like, my mom is Filipino, my dad's white. So Ava and Violet, I'm Filipino, their dad is Mexican or Hispanic, right? But they don't really. So David is a Mexican American. Like he doesn't speak Spanish.
Yep.
He, like he isn't like really in tune with his culture. And me being Filipino, like Violet, we took her to the Philippines. My mom, speaks to them in Ilocano. Like, so they're more cultured in the Filipino culture. Even though they know that they're half Filipino and half Mexican, I think they just identify themselves mainly as being Filipino. Because that's all they know. Got it. And I wish that they learn Spanish. Like Violet knows a little bit which is why I wanted her to go the dual immersion schools, because she did learn some Spanish. But
got it.
Yeah.
Got it. No, I was just curious.
They just say they're Mexipino.
Yeah.
Mexican
there you go.
and Filipino. Yeah.
Well, no, I was just curious because, like, to your point, I think it also, like, Vanessa, she's obviously mixed too, but she's grew up more on her, Filipino culture. So I think she definitely that resonates with her, but she also is fully aware of her other culture.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to expose them more to the other half of their culture.
Yeah. No, going back, I definitely see that as a opportunity.
Yeah. But yes, transitional kindergarten, preschool, all that stuff, I recommend it. I'm glad that I was able to afford or have them go and do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.